Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. What we're going to be taking a look at today is the Medicham. We will be revisiting it, but this is not your typical Medicham build. So this one will make use of the evolutions. But first of all, there is a little bit of an issue that we need to discuss. So Yoga Kick, this attack's damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance, and in case we really want to take advantage of the evolution's abilities, then we can't really make use of this attack. So what we're instead going to be focusing on is we're actually going to be making use of the Meditite Smack attack. But you guys are thinking, well, the evolutions only work with stage 1 Pokemon or higher, so we can't necessarily make usage of the Meditite Smack attack just like that, and that is absolutely true. So that's why we're actually going to be running a total of 3 copies of the Shrine of Memory Stadium card. So this allows each player's evolved Pokemon to be able to make usage of any of its attacks from its previous evolutions. Now 20 damage doesn't seem all that impressive, but keep in mind that the Medicham is a fighting type Pokemon, so we can go right ahead and make usage of cards such as the Strong Energy, which adds a significant amount of power to those Medicham's attacks. So with a single Strong Energy we can go right ahead and hit for 40 damage by making use of the Smack attack, or Smack Kick I believe it was called. Let me just take a quick look. Sorry, just Smack. So that can go up to 40 damage quite easily. We also have the muscle bands that we can equip onto those Medichams, and that will allow us to hit for considerably more damage. So a muscle band and a strong energy, and if we're able to take advantage of one of our opponent's weaknesses, that is 120 damage per smack attack. And keep in mind that Medicham can attack twice per any given turn. So very energetically efficient attacker, only requires a single energy card, and then we can really start dishing out the damage. But personally, I think that the Focus Sash is probably the better item card to be equipped on to that Medicham. So we'll be running a total of 3 copies of the Focus Sash and 2 copies of the Muscle Band as well. Again, depending on the situation, we may prefer to make usage of one of them as opposed to the other. And of course, just for a little bit of variability, I have also tossed in a single copy of the Fighting Stadium. There's definitely going to be a couple of matchups where we're not able to take advantage of any of those evolution special abilities, so it may just be better for us to go with the Fighting Stadium. And Fighting Stadium, of course, also works very well in addition to an alternative attacker that we have in our deck, which is going to be the Hawlucha with the Shining Spirit ability, and of course the Flying Press attack, which is very effective against EX Pokemon. So Hawlucha is also there just to make life a little bit easier for us. We are running a total of 2 copies of this Pokemon. We're running a total of 4 copies of the Eevee, of course, and then its respective evolution. So first of all, we have the Jolteon, which we'll be running 2 copies of. It has the Electric effect, which allows each of our stage 1 Pokemon in play to be a lightning type in addition to its existing types. Then we have the Vaporeon, allowing our Pokemon to be water in addition to its existing types. We're only running a single copy of the Vaporeon because, at least for the time being, fire type Pokemon aren't all that prevalent. And then of course we have a total of 2 copies of the Flareon with the Flare effect, allowing our Pokemon to be fire type in addition to its existing types. Grass Pokemon are pretty dominant, so the Flare effect really does seem to pay off. And then of course there's quite a few Steel type decks out there as well, so Flareon is quite possibly the most useful of the respective evolutions. So we're running 2 copies of it and 2 copies of the Jolteon as well. Anyways, those are our entire Pokemon now. If you guys of course paid close attention, you'd realize that all of our Pokemon have 90 HP or less, so that allows us to take advantage of the level ball. We will not need any Ultra Balls in our deck whatsoever. I was initially considering running the Landorus because it does allow us to fetch out some discarded fighting energy cards, but again, if we were running the Landorus, then we may have needed to put in at least 1 or 2 Ultra Balls. And I mean, the Karina could also work just to allow us to grab the Landorus, but I decided it's better just that we stick with all of our Pokemon being 90 HP or less. So we'll be running a total of 3 copies of the Level Ball, and of course we have 3 Korinas as well, so that will allow us to grab onto those fighting Pokemon. So there's a lot of flexibility that we have. We're running quite a few different types of item cards, so Karina will give us access to cards such as the VS Seeker, the Switch, the Sacred Ash, the Professor's Ladder, and of course the Level Ball, so that is a lot of variability. Of course the Focus Ashes and the Muscle Band, so Karina, very useful card. Speaking of Sacred Ash, we are running a single copy of it. This is just nice to allow us to recycle those attackers, especially since we'll most likely be reusing those Medichams over and over again, and of course we're only running a total of 4 copies of them. So in case they all do happen to get knocked out, or in case we prematurely send some of them in our discard pile by making usage of cards such as the Professor Sycamore, Sacred Ash is always there for us. We're not running a lot of energies, only 10 energies, 6 of them being fighting and 4 of them being the strong energy. So Professor's Letter is actually very useful in this deck as well. We will be running a single copy of this card in our deck. Again, Karina can give us access to it, so Professor's Letter is definitely within our reach. Again, especially if we don't have any energy cards in our hand. We have a single copy of the Switch card. It can be useful. I mean, most of our Pokemon don't have bulky retreat costs, but still, it's nice just to include at least a single copy of this card in this deck, so that is precisely what we will be doing. We have a total of 3 VS Seekers, again, just to allow us to make use of those supporter cards all over again. Possibly one of the most problematic Pokemon that we may encounter is the Aegis/EX, which is immune to our strong energies. So Hex Maniac can definitely help us with respects to those. I mean, it would shut down our Eeveelutions abilities though, so that is something to keep in mind. But our Medicham's double attack is not affected, so Medicham would still be able to attack twice because it is an ancient trait. So Hex Maniac isn't too problematic for us. We can definitely afford to run at least 1 copy in our deck, and that's precisely what we will be doing. Of course, we have the Ace Trainer, 4 Birches, and 4 Birches and a total of 3 copies of the Sycamore in our deck. I felt like we could cut down on the Sycamore a little bit because again, those Karinas are very helpful. We have quite a few supporter cards in our deck, so I feel like 3 Sycamores should be more than enough. And we have a single copy of the Lysander to allow us to lure out any of the opponent's benched Pokemon. So that is our entire deck build, guys. So with that, we're gonna go and take a look at this bad boy in action. The deck that, well, possibly one of the decks that our deck performs by far the best against is those Vespiquen decks, which are pretty rampant right now. I mean, Vespiquen definitely seems to be quite a dominant Pokemon, and our deck just very effectively shuts them down. All we need is pretty much a single energy card and one of those respective evolutions, and that's pretty much our game. So yeah, so that's just something nice to keep in mind. This deck is actually quite effective against a lot of different types of decks. I think we will be seeing some unique sorts of combinations. Excadrill, definitely another very solid attacker, just because it can attack twice in any given turn. It's actually a little bit bulkier than the Medicham, so it can survive more attacks, and it can potentially hit for more damage as well, especially when it does have the muscle band latched onto it. So we're going to start off by taking a look at our Medicham, and let's see what type of deck our opponent's going to be running. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm thinking it might be some sort of bad variant, maybe a Primal Groudon EX deck. I've actually been seeing quite a few Primal Groudon EXs, which is quite interesting to see the very least. And looks like our opponent is going to start off with a Shaman EX, so we're going to bring out the Eevee right away. Let us go and make use of that the Level Ball. We're going to go and look for one more Meditite and lay that down into our bench. So let's go and bring that out. I'm going to go and attach a Fighting Energy card onto that Meditite, and that is going to have to be our turn for now. Now, we do have the Shrine of Memory, so we should be able to start dishing out some damage nice and early. I will probably be making use of that Sycamore as well. I would love to get the Jolteon, because it can allow us to take advantage of that Shaman EX's crippling weakness. We are going to see a Lucario EX. So in this instance, guys, it may actually work in our favor to make usage of the Fighting Stadium as well. Again, since we can't take advantage of the Lucario EX's weakness. So that is just something to keep in mind. And yeah, so it looks like our opponent's going to have to end their turn. Not a particularly strong start for them. Hopefully we're able to knock it out. But I'm not entirely sure yet, because I mean currently we're only able to hit for 40 damage per hit. Well, actually there's also that the resistance. Oh, okay, so this could be a little bit problematic. Alright, so we have the Level Ball. I will absolutely be using that to grab onto that Jolteon. I'm not actually sure how the resistance and the weakness are gonna work together, so let's actually go and bring out one more Medicham, a Hawlucha as well. And yeah, so I'm not actually sure how much damage our Smack is gonna do. I think 60 damage. Okay, so I guess in this case the resistance is completely ignored. I'm not really sure, because 60 damage. Well, I guess actually the resistance must have still been applied. Yeah, the resistance was definitely applied. Alright, so let us go and make use of the Level Ball, and I'm gonna go right ahead and grab onto an additional Medicham. Yes, I think one more Medicham would serve in our best interest, so let's go right ahead and bring that out. Are we actually going to be able to win the game? So that's 70 damage. We're still falling a little bit short, but we might just be able to win the game if we draw onto a Muscle Band or if we draw onto that Fighting Stadium. So let's go and make use of the Professor Birch's observation. This might be a really quick game. Yeah, I think we've won, guys, if I've done my math correctly, which I'm pretty sure I have. So 90 damage, yep, so that is game 1 for us already. just managed to completely overpower our opponent. I mean, that is just, yeah, that was a very, very fast game. How long did it last in total? Just 2 minutes and 39 seconds. Oh man, that is fast. Alright, so we're gonna go and definitely find ourselves an additional opponent. But as you guys can see, this deck already seems to be quite impressive, and I feel like it has a lot of competitive potential, definitely more so than before. I feel like those evolutions are just such a nice boost for a lot of these stage 1 decks to have, and Medicham is definitely one of the Pokemon that can make very, very effective usage of the respective evolution. So just getting back to that weakness that I was discussing earlier, so with the strong energy we were able to hit for 40 damage, and then we applied the weakness as well, so that would have been 80 damage per hit on those Shaymin EXs, but then the resistance came into play. So I wasn't actually sure if we were going to deduce the resistance beforehand or after applying the weakness. It seems to be the case that it's after, and that definitely worked in our favor, because if it was applied before, I think it may have actually survived, would it? So 40, 20, yeah, so it would have definitely survived. Alright, so it looks like we're going to start off with 2 EVs this time around. No supporters. Okay, so this is not a great starting hand for us, but we'll see. I'm sure we can work with something, so hopefully we draw into something useful. I'd love to get a level ball. Definitely do want to bring out those Medichams nice and early, and awesome, we are going to get that level ball, and we're going to be facing a Combi deck, so this should be a fantastic matchup for us, guys. So let's go right ahead, bring out that Meditite. I'm going to go and attach a Fighting Energy onto it, and that's going to have to be our turn for now. I mean, I don't want to switch into it just yet, especially if our opponent is running the Forest of Giant Plants. There's very much a possibility that we may see that Vespiquen come out right away, and of course, we're going to see that Forest of Giant Plants make its appearance. I'm hoping we don't get Lysandered out, because I mean, of course, that Meditite doesn't have a whole lot of HP, very easily Lysanderable, and potentially very easy knockout for our opponent. Unfortunately, with N no longer being a part of the standard format, there's absolutely pretty much no chance that our opponent is going to reshuffle our hand back into our deck, unless of course he is running the red card, which is not exactly a very popular card. We're going to see that Shaymin EX, our opponent already sending the Blacksmith into that discard pile, so we definitely know that there are going to be some EVs in that deck, and luckily for us, our opponent's not really going to be able to take advantage of our weakness, and our Medicham doesn't even have a whole lot of HP, so those EVs are pretty much going to be useless on our opponent's end for the most part. We are going to see that Ultra Ball, and I'm thinking we're going to see one more Shaymin EX, guys. Okay, no, looks like I was wrong. It is going to be the Vespiquen. Our opponent probably has a supporter card in his hand as well, though I'm sure we're going to see a Sycamore or something along those lines. Okay, double Colorless Energy, and of course the Sycamore. So just a single Pokemon in that discard pile. That is only 30 damage that the Vespiquen can hit us for at the moment. I'm really hoping we can knock it out during our next turn. I will be bringing out that Meditite, but at the moment it would only be able to hit for 30 damage per hit. And man, our EV is actually going to be able to survive. So that is absolutely unexpected. I'm going to go and attach a Fighting Energy card on to that Medicham. Now I could actually start attacking, but it could also be risky as well. I mean, that's precisely why those Focus Sashes are just such a nice handy card to have in our hand. I don't think we're going to get Lysandered, so you know what? I think I'm going to end the turn. I'm hoping that that is not a mistake on our end, but we'll see. So let's see, we're going to see that Flareon make its appearance. Now our opponent can take advantage of the Blacksmith, and that could definitely help with some energy acceleration on those Vespiquen, although we only see a single Fire Energy card in that discard pile right now. I don't know if our opponent really wants to waste a Lysander during this turn, because again, he is lacking enough Pokemon in that discard pile to really be able to take advantage of that Vespiquen, and our opponent already has a fully loaded bench, so seeing another Shaymin EX is definitely not a possibility unless our opponent is running a mixture of both the Forest of Giant Plants and the Skyfield Stadium card, which it's kind of unlikely. I mean, we don't really see a whole lot of those in Vespiquen decks, but it definitely could be a pretty interesting deck. So we're going to see that Blacksmith. That is going to be a single Fire Energy card getting latched onto the Flareon. Okay, so Flareon, that's definitely not expected. I guess we're finally going to bring out that Medicham and make an appearance. I'm hoping we can knock out that Vespiquen, guys. Of course, we're not going to be able to do so. So I'm going to bring out the Fighting Stadium. I guess I'm going to go and look for 2 Fighting Energies. Yeah, I'm actually going to go and attach one to that EV just in case I can freely retreat it. I mean, if I can hold on to that switch card, it's better for us to just keep it for now, right? So how many Pokemon do you see in that discard pile? Just one right now, so maybe our Medicham will be able to survive, but definitely not a great start for us. And we were just lagging a little bit there, so let's go right ahead, use Yoga Kick twice, and that is going to allow us to almost knock out that Vespiquen, but that Vespiquen is still very much so alive. I may even have to attack with the lunge attack. We desperately need a supporter card, guys, at this point. Need something to work with, but I don't think our opponent has the greatest hand either. So I mean, we don't see any battle compressors, we don't see any sycamores, anything like that. Otherwise our opponent would absolutely be blazing through their deck. These a lot of these Vespiquen decks are just very fast and hard hitting, and it doesn't seem to be the case with our opponent right now. So we're gonna see that level ball. I think we're probably gonna see a Jolteon, maybe an additional Flareon as well, in case our opponent wants to sort of have a little bit of backup, in case of course his benched Flareon does get knocked out. Yes, looks like we are indeed going to see an additional Flareon. Again, I was just not expecting that Blacksmith to be used in combination with that Flareon. Definitely something unexpected. Again, we should have the advantage against our opponent's deck for the most part right now. We're going to see that via Seeker. That is going to be a Sycamore, yes. So we may just see that Medicham getting knocked out. Our opponent still needs to send 6 more Pokemon, well sorry, 5 more Pokemon into that discard pile. So a Battle Compressor, maybe an Ultra Ball would be enough, or 2 Battle Compressors of course would be more than enough. We are going to see the Trainer's Mail. I think this may just be the end for our Medicham, guys. Again, we desperately need a supporter card. We are not having the greatest game right now. I mean, our last game we are just able to absolutely dominate our opponent, but in this game we just got a terrible start. I mean, have we actually... And I don't even have access to my discard pile anymore. Okay, that's not good. I actually wanted to see if we had made use of any supporter cards. I'm pretty sure we didn't though. I'm almost 90% sure we didn't, because I know initially we had drawn onto a level ball and then the professor's letter, I believe. So yeah, so I'm pretty sure we haven't made use of any supporter cards just yet, and we're actually running quite a fair number of them in our deck. So not exactly the greatest start for us. Our opponent just taking his sweet time with the Trainer's Mail. Looks like it is going to be a level ball, getting hit for only 40 damage. At least our opponent isn't getting the greatest hand either. And awesome, we are going to get the Professor Sycamore. I'm definitely very happy about that. Let's go right ahead and make use of that. We have the Flareon. Yes, Flareon is absolutely a card that I will be making use of. So let's go right ahead and bring out 2 of our Meditites. I'm going to bring out the Flareon as well. And we'll be able to knock out that Vespiquen because we will be able to hit it for 40 damage by taking advantage of the smack attack. Well, we could also just knock it out using Yoga Kick, but anyways, let's actually go right ahead and get rid of the opponent's Stadium card. I'm going to go and attach a Strong Energy. I guess for now I'm just going to go and attach a regular Fighting Energy. Let's go right ahead and make use of Smack. So that is going to be 40 damage. That's going to be 1 prize card for us, and our opponent is going to be able to bring out an additional Pokemon of their own. So let's see who we are going to see as our opponent's next active Pokemon. Looks like it is going to be a Vespiquen. So I guess Smack would be better, right? Because hitting for 40 damage as opposed to 30 is slightly better. So we may just have to attack with a Meditite as well. I mean, Smack with a Strong Energy and a Muscle Band may just do enough damage to knock out that Vespiquen. Of course, our opponent will be able to attack during this turn. He does have the Double Colorless Energy on that Vespiquen, and of course the Vespiquens have absolutely no retreat cost, so that is a non-issue right there. We're going to see an Unknown going into that discard pile. Our opponent finally has a free slot where he can start bringing out some Pokemon, so that could definitely be problematic. We may see some additional Shaman EXs, maybe some Combies, things like that. Our opponent will be able to, of course, take advantage of those unknowns, so it'll be interesting to see how this deck works. And again, I definitely think we have the advantage in this game, just because again, our Pokemon can hit for lots and lots of damage, due to the fact that we're able to attack twice per any given turn. I mean, that Omega Barrage ability is just absolutely fantastic and can hit for lots and lots of damage. Alright, so again, we are just waiting to see what the opponent does. Looks like we're going to see the Double Colorless Energy getting attached onto that Vespiquen, and we should be able to knock it out regardless, but we'll also be able to access our Ace Trainer, which is definitely kind of nice. So let's go right ahead and bring out this Meditite. I'll be attaching a Strong Energy and a Muscle Band onto it, guys. Let's go and make use of that Ace Trainer, reduce the number of cards in our opponent's hand. And awesome, looks like we're also going to get a Medicham in our hand. So we may just get a double knockout this turn. I'm going to go and bring out a Meditite. Definitely an additional Eevee. Again, our Flareon could potentially get knocked out, but luckily for us, we do have one more in our hand. So let's go right ahead and use Smack. I believe that's 120 damage. Yeah, so that's 120 damage for a single attack. And I think we're probably going to see Flareon make its appearance during this turn. No, it looks like our opponent's going to bring out that second Vespiquen. Definitely not a smart move on my... definitely I don't think that was a smart move on our opponent's end. I mean, he should have brought out the Flareon. Flareon would have been able to survive an attack because we didn't have any of our Vaporeons out at play just yet. So we're going to see that Flareon make an appearance, still falling short of being able to perform a one-hit knockout on us. We are going to see the Enhanced Hammer though, so that is going to get rid of our Strong Energy, but we should be able to knock out that Flareon. I may just use the Sycamore, get rid of that Flareon in our hand. I mean, I'd love to get the Vaporeon. Again, a lot of players I feel really are underestimating the usefulness of the Vaporeon, and especially with the prevalence of Grass-type Pokemon nowadays, I think we're going to see an increase in Fire types as well, just to counter those very, very popular Grass-type decks, again, that we will be seeing a whole lot of. So our Medicham is definitely outside of harm's way, well, outside of the one-hit knockout range of that Flareon. So we should be relatively good to go. We are going to see that Trainer's Mail. How many of our combis has... again, yeah, right, sorry, I forgot. We don't have access to our discard piles, so that's kind of terrible, but I do know that we have a total of 5 of our energy cards in that discard pile. 4 of them are the fighting energies, and 1 of them is that strong energy. I mean, that's just something that I know, because based on how I've been playing thus far, I think I will most likely go for the Sycamore. I may just give up that Flareon. I mean, I'd love to draw into the Vaporeon at this point, guys, and we are running quite a few level balls, but again, I can't really access my discard pile. If our opponent does get the heads, he will get the knockout, but he's going to get a Tails, unfortunately hitting us for only 80 damage, and we're going to get a Jolteon. But, I mean, Jolteon could be useful against that Shimon EX, actually. So, yeah, you know what, I guess I'm going to go and bring out the Jolteon. It's okay, we may not get the one-hit knockout on that Flareon, but we should still be able to knock it out. So let's go right ahead, make use of that Sycamore. I want to guarantee some new cards in our hand. We have the Focus Sash. I will absolutely be attaching that onto our Meditate. And then let's go right ahead and hit for 60 damage per kick, I believe. Yeah, so we should be able to knock out that Flareon in 2 hits. So smack for 60 damage, and one more smack. That is going to be 60 damage again, and we should be able to win the game during our next turn, guys. Unless our opponent pulls out something completely unexpected. We may just see an Ace Trainer as well. That could be a little bit problematic for us, shuffling our hand and then potentially preventing us from really being able to hit our opponent for a lot of damage. We're going to see that Shimon EX though, and that's precisely why I decided to bring out the Jolteon, because that electric effect will allow us to affect that Shimon EX. I'm actually quite glad that I brought out the Jolteon, because of course when we used that Sycamore we had no Vaporeon in that hand. So I think this is going to be game, and I'm quite sure you guys have a very, very good understanding of the power behind this Medicham deck at this point. But we'll see what our opponent decides to do. I mean, again, I have the Korean on my hand, and I have the Lysander, and a VS Seeker to top it off. So I think this may just be game for our opponent, which again makes me very happy, because those Vespiquen decks are very, very powerful. And I would say they're definitely going to be one of the more dominant sorts of decks that we will be seeing a whole lot of in the near future. I'm hoping that the Medicham gains a little bit of popularity as well, just because I think it's fantastic. I actually think it's a little bit better than the Excadrill, just because it gets going much faster. I mean, that's not to say that the Excadrill isn't powerful. Excadrill also usually gets going for a single energy, because then again it does have the Dredge attack, allowing us to attach some additional energy cards onto it. But again, Medicham is just fantastic. It has the ability to make use of the strong energy, which is very, very great, and of course it also has the ability to make use of the Focus Sash, which can be extremely problematic for a lot of different decks to deal with. So our opponent trimmed down his deck by a whole lot, only 5 cards remaining. We are going to see that Lysander, but I did attach that energy card onto that Flareon earlier, so this is going to be our game. Yeah, so I actually don't even need to do anything. But just in case, I'm going to go right ahead and attach a strong energy card onto this Meditate. Let's go right ahead, use Smack. That is going to be 100 damage. Smack one more time, and that is going to be our game, guys. So yeah, that is going to be it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Also, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button if you guys have not already done so. And just for you guys who are unaware, I do have a Twitter account, so be sure to check that out. Follow me on it. I'll be hosting some giveaways. I'll be answering questions, things like that. And of course, at this point, there should probably be 2 annotations popping up for my previous video and a random video as well. So be sure to check that out. And yeah, so that is going to be it. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.